I'm super excited to introduce to you 11 Reasons Why. It's a brand new show where I ask small business owners 11 reasons why they started. Hope you enjoy it. McDonald.
Okay.
And he's a painter. So where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in a little town called Athens, Tennessee, about 60 miles south of Knoxville. I-75 goes right through it.
What was it like?
Well, I just turned 58 years old yesterday. So,
Happy birthday.
well, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to be here. So back in my day when I was a kid, it was tremendously different. It was a great little town to grow up in. I was 7, 8 years old walking the streets downtown by myself. You were safe back then. Everybody knew everybody. And I learned the hard way a few times that if I got out of town, did something I wasn't supposed to do, somebody knew me, they were going to bust my butt. They were going to call my mama. She was going to bust my butt. And then Daddy was going to beat me when he got home.
This is out of town, not even in Athens.
This is in Athens.
Oh, okay.
This is downtown Athens.
I gotcha.
In the late 60s, early 70s, whatever. It was a great place, to grow up. My very first Christmas print was called A Wonderful Life. And it featured the Strand Theater, which was a huge, it was so popular, just for many years. A lot of people came there. And I named it A Wonderful Life because at the time, growing up in Athens, it really was a wonderful life. It was very simple, and it was just a lot happier back then.
For me, A Wonderful Life, it reminds me of the Jimmy Stewart movie.
Exactly. I played off that a little.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Well, good answer. So, number 2, as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I got to tell you the truth, okay?
Oh, yeah. That's what we want here.
Well, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. When I was in the 2nd grade, our teacher, her name was Miss Porter, and she went around the class and she asked everybody what they wanted to be one day when they grew up. The very first thing I can remember ever wanting to be was Santa Claus.
Well, it's kind of fitting. The gray is coming in.
Yeah, really, and it was a lot longer too. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to be Santa Claus. And the whole class laughed at me. She laughed at me. She said, "You can't be Santa Claus." And I'm like, "Why?" Anyway, but I went from there to wanting to be an artist, at a real young age. I could draw before I could write. I could draw before I went to school. And I would spend a large part of my day, drawing. Other kids out playing, I got out and played too, but I spent a lot of time, with art. I was always fascinated with any kind of art, any and all kinds.
Number 3, do you collect anything?
Antique cigarette lighters.
Elaborate. I got to know about this.
Okay. Vintage cigarette lighters. Most of them are made by a company called Scripto.
Okay.
It's a push button top, and they had the old cigarette advertisements on them. You've probably seen them. But anyway, it was, and the old cigarettes, which was Vantage, Lucky Strike. I collect those, and I have, I really don't have a great number of them. I've probably got about 10, maybe 12. I have a cigarette lighter that my dad carried in World War II that has it has a Bulova clock made into it, and he has initials scratched into the lighter. Well, his initials, of course, and certain guys in his outfit. So, yeah, I collect antique cigarette lighters.
How about that? Number 4, what brings you joy?
Honestly, one thing that brings me joy is seeing happiness in other people. If I can do something, you know, I've always said, I'm a joker. I will make an absolute fool of myself if I can make somebody laugh. If I can make their day a little bit better, I feel like I've done something pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You know? When I put out a new piece of artwork and it strikes a feeling, a memory with somebody, and a lot of times people cry, you know, and that makes me happy. That makes me very happy. And I do get great joy from that. And, you know, not only did I take them back to a better time, but we just became better friends.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree. And if you've ever seen any of his work, you'll agree as well.
I like to tell everybody that I paint memories. You know, somebody is going to have a fond memory of something that I've painted. It's going to remind you of your childhood. It's going to remind you of the summer you spent with your grandparents on their farm. It's going to take you to a simpler, happier time. And that's what I'm about. Because the world is way too complicated. I never paint anything present day. I always take everything back. I paint it during the 40s, the 50s, you know, the late 50s, things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, in today's culture, you know, you have shows like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is set in the late 50s.
Right.
And a ton of other, you know, so I think a lot of people's minds are going back to that simpler time.
I hope
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Number 6, what was your first job?
Oh, wow. Well,
we skipped number 5. If you don't,
we skipped number 5.
We accidentally skipped number 5.
We can go back to it. We'll call it 6.5 or something. Okay. You know, as a kid, of course, I did the usual mowed yards, carried in coal and firewood for elderly women. But my first actual job was I was a dishwasher at the Holiday Inn restaurant.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking for. The first one where you actually got a check stub, right?
No, it was just $20 a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no check stub.
Even Holiday Inn back then. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Number 5 is, do you have a pet peeve?
I have several.
Well, what's your biggest one?
Oh, wow.
Or just start naming off some. It's up to you.
Okay. When my daughter comes to my cabin, she likes to play jokes on me sometimes. Do things that gets me. And she knows that I am very anal about which direction the toilet paper comes off, okay? And she will turn it around just to light a fire in my heart, okay? And anyway, but we have fun with that. You know, I'm a very punctual person, you know, no poke or anything, but that is one of my pet peeves. I am actually OCD to a certain point, you know. In my workshop, all tools are hung a certain way. In my studio at home where I paint, everything is in a certain spot. So, yeah,
I can identify with that.
Yeah.
You know, as a technician, I have to have specific tools in specific pouches inside the toolbox, or I can't find them. So
right.
I get that. I totally do. Number 7, Why and how did God's the Artist come about? I think you touched on that earlier, but
The actual tagline, okay. I was contacted, this was, wow, a long time ago. I was probably 25 years old, and 25, 26, somewhere through there. I was contacted by a local church asking me, would I paint a mural in one of their Sunday school classes. Now, at the time, I had no idea what a mural was. So they explained it to me, told me what they wanted. They wanted the Noah's Ark theme painted in this children's Sunday school class. And I said, okay, I've never done anything like that, I'll try. So I went and I worked on it at night after work, and I got it finished. I didn't even know how to charge for it. I was just so out of the water on something like this. And I wouldn't price it. You know, it's a church, you know. And so anyway, the lady that hired me, she just paid me what she wanted me to have, which was more than I thought anyway. Mm-hmm. And anyway, she said, well, you need to sign this, you know, before you leave. And I said, oh. And I bent down to sign it, and I signed my name. And all of a sudden I stopped, and I asked her, I said, would you mind if I put something else under my name? And she said, no, not at all. And it was out of the blue. I mean, God gave me God's the Artist. I just hold the brush. And I was like, and I sat there or stood, you know, and I just stared at it, and I was like, whoa. And that has been, it has followed me ever since. I have a sign that shortly afterwards that I made, and I painted it on just an old scrap board, and I would take it to shows with me. I had hooks, and I would hang it up, and people would try to buy it. And I can't tell you how many of those things that I eventually, you know, I would make one for them. And, but people just loved that tagline. And I loved it too, because it did mean so much to me. And, but anyway, I carried it on. That was the name of my gallery. As I said, that is on every print that I release. And no matter if I put out 1,000, you know, there's that tagline on it. So
yeah, well, it's a great story that goes along with it now that we have that. When you're about to start painting, so you have the brush and you're getting ready to start, is there a ritual or a method that you have?
I pray.
Really?
I do. Well, I pray every time, you know, just, and this is honest truth, you know, I just thank God, you know, for giving me the opportunity and the talent to do what I'm doing. And, you know, God paint through me, as you always have. I'll give you praise and glory for it. And, you know, this is all you. So that's my ritual. The other thing is coffee and chocolate.
Really?
I have to have coffee and I have to have chocolate.
Really? What kind of chocolate specifically?
Hershey's Nuggets.
Oh, okay.
I am hooked. That's my crack, you know, that's my cocaine. And Hershey's Nuggets with almonds, and I love those things. And if a painting takes me too long, I will eat 2 bags of those things.
Yeah. I got to introduce you to Sharif, my previous guest, because he has a place called Coffee and Chocolates.
Oh my!
So I think you guys might hit it off.
Yeah, we may. Very well may.
Number 9, and this is a tough one for some people, but
yes.
you know, with these times and COVID and everything else like that, what's been your biggest struggle?
Well, the biggest struggle that I have come across as an artist is also the same struggle that everybody has faced, you know, or are still facing. And that is, people are afraid. So I think it's fear. They're the uncertainty of what's going to happen next week. You know, will they have a job? Will they still have a home? They are tight, you know, with what little money they have, they want to keep.
Yeah.
So has that hurt my business? Yes, it has. You know, more important things have come first, you know, food, whatever, you know, their bills. So artwork is a luxury.
Sure.
That has put a worry on me at first. But I got to admit that lately, something came back to me that I heard our pastor preach on one time. He was preaching on faith. And he said, you know, have faith. Have faith in all things, no matter how dreary the situation. He said, if you're going to pray for rain, have the kind of faith it takes that you carry an umbrella with you.
Oh, wow.
And that hit me just maybe a week ago. And I just snapped. And I was like, I'm ready to grab my umbrella. You know, I'm going back into this. You know, if you're going to hammer a nail, you got to keep on driving. You know, and I'm not giving up. I'm just going to keep on going because I believe opportunities are going to come along, and I believe doors are going to open. And I think, you know, I firmly believe things are going to be fine. I think everybody's going to be all right.
Yeah, I was talking just yesterday to a heating and air guy, and he said that his business has tripled since the same time last year. Which,
yes.
You know, obviously that would make sense since more people are home and running their air conditioners.
Exactly.
Number 10, what's been your biggest achievement?
My biggest achievement may not be one particular thing. Just the fact that, you know, I was asked one time, what is my idea of success? To a lot of people, success means a lot of money. You know, the fine house on the hill, big fine car, things like that. Those things don't mean success to me. Success to me is the fact that I am so blessed I can do what God gives me to do, and I can do it for a living. I have fun, and I get paid to do it. You know, I love my life. My life is very simple. I'm a very simple man. My home is only 560 square feet. You know, it's a small, tiny cabin. And I have simplified my world in the last 3 years. And, you know, very much so. And to me, that is success, you know. So I will say that every day that I work and live, that's my greatest achievement.
I mean, that's a phenomenal answer. I'm certainly not going to argue with it.
I'm not looking to get rich. I'm more about being happy, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I started this show is to get people to look at the bright side of things.
Exactly.
Number 11, and of course that's going to be my favorite.
Okay.
Who's your biggest hero?
Oh, wow. My biggest hero is my brother. And I think it always has been. You know, he always has been. My brother was a door gunner in Vietnam. He, of course, you know, served his time in the military. One of the hardest working men I've ever seen. I just turned 58. He just turned 69 in April. He still outworks me. You know, he's just awesome. And I've learned so much from him throughout life. I mean, he's taught me everything I know about woodworking. We carpentered together for a while. And, well, he carpentered, you know, I made mistakes. But I learned a great deal off of him. I admire him very much. So I'm just going to say that my brother.
And you know, I noticed that he's like, is it 11 years
Yeah, 11 years difference.
Imagine that, 11 years
I know.
older.
What about that, Daddy Tech 11?
That 11, it just keeps coming up, folks. That's awesome. Well, you know, I have a much younger brother too, and so it's an interesting dynamic, and you know, I'm sure you were kind of scurrying around the wood shop when he was trying to teach you things when you were younger.
Yeah, you know, I hate to say it because I can't stand that quality in anybody now, but I was probably that young person who thought they knew it all and you can't tell me anything. And he was so cool to just step back and say, okay, go ahead. And he would let me make my mistakes. But it taught me so much.
So I think we're going to go like this, right? And,
works for me.
How can people find you? If they want to find you and want to know about you, how do they find you?
I am not hard to find at all.
Okay.
You can go to my website is godstheartist.com. You can see all my artwork. There's contact information. My email is on there as well. Even my cell phone number is on there as well. I'm not hard to get a hold of. and I welcome any and all comments on my artwork, even criticism, you know, because how do you get better without criticism? Absolutely. As long as it's positive. Has to be positive.
Well, listen, I appreciate you doing this, Bill. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.